gives 100% to whatever he does. He truly does care about making sure that people are learning and understanding. He likes to share what he knows with people. He gives so much of himself to others too, as far as like whenever, for example, whenever he's teaching a printmaking workshop, because that is his true love and you know that, he explains how the tools are used, he explains the processes, he explains the history and the context, and he doesn't, underestimate anybody. He makes you understand, but he doesn't play down to people. His style of instruction is just so like free, and people really do respond to that. He's really great with all audiences. Like I will say this, in my experiences in working with him, because he taught at the Morris Center when I was there, most of the workshops he taught with us were for adults. And I mean, people who were at all different experience levels. And so he's really good at making people feel comfortable, especially if they're new to an art form. People would just honestly come to take Ian's workshops because he was the one teaching them. To me, arts education is extremely important to how well-rounded a student is in our state. As someone who I grew up in the South Carolina public education system, and my arts education was a huge part of my experience. And I don't want any students in South Carolina to ever lose that, because arts do truly make you connect to the world in a different way. Whether you become a working or practicing artist, art is still a part of who you are. And I think that it's important that we nurture that. Someone like Ian, he truly understands that, and you see that in how he works, and him as being a practicing artist, but not only that, but also an arts educator.
There are a lot of struggles and like fears that I had being an artist, because we were doing pretty well for a while, and then right around 4th grade, the bottom kind of dropped out on us. So like we lost our house, we had to move in with my grandma. Because of that, I realized kids coming from that lower middle class or poverty line usually don't get to do what we do as artists. And that's something I've always been aware of, and I think that's part of the reason why I am such a like fierce advocate for like rural communities like here in Hampton, where it's like these kids deserve the chance. Art saved my life in a very real, tangible way. At one point in undergrad, family was really struggling financially. My dad was perennially sick, and in undergrad, it became way too much. And one of my professors, Charlie Canwisher, he said something I think fundamentally shaped who I am as a person now. You can't control certain things in your life, but whenever you step inside this room, you control what you make. You control what marks you put on the paper. You control what you do. And when you don't have a whole lot of choices, you need to treasure every single one that you have. South Carolina State came across my radar, and the position I think aligned really well with my skill set. Drove down and set up in Columbia and was teaching at State. So, I mean, and it was the best paying job I'd ever had. It felt like the first time where I actually felt like, okay, I'm exactly where I need to be. This is exactly what I need to be doing, and this is exactly where I need to be. But perspectives change. And Heather Bremer, who's the executive director for Friends of the Arts, had initially contacted State. Would any of the art professors want to come down and maybe teach a workshop? And I kept coming back. There was like a tangible effect that was happening with the students, and I was watching it happen in real time. Students definitely felt like they could come talk to me about issues, whereas maybe they didn't feel like they had an outlet. I felt like I was actually making a difference when I was working with the students here. And I didn't necessarily feel like I was making that same impact at State. And honestly, I saw their sense of self-worth grow. I realized there was a lot of these issues where you have like school districts that just don't have art teachers, or you have one art teacher that's split between 5 different buildings. Heather and John Wright, they approached me and said, hey, crazy idea. Would you want to leave your college job and come teach at the K-12 level? I don't know if I can dumb it down. And Mr. Wright was like, they need somebody like you to not dumb it down. I look at some of our students who have gone through our programs, who are now majoring in art, in college, which is amazing. I'm really proud of the kids we work with. They're willing to push themselves. I realize it is that kind of like you're burning yourself for a sunrise you're never going to see. Like, and especially being someone who's fighting a life-threatening illness right now, like that's something really tangible. I don't know how long I've got. And that's a real thing. None of us do, but realizing that I have this illness and maybe not knowing how long I've got, it's just like, okay, so what can I do with the time I have?